Hey there, bees! Killer Queen Flight School is back again with another episode in the KQ Basics video series. This time we're going to be talking about warriors. We're getting you off the ground and into an arcade to play the greatest game ever made. For this episode, we're taking flight, and we're talking about a team's military prowess by going over the basics of being a warrior. While drones are the backbone of any team, warriors are the driving force that are going to lead the drones to advancing their objectives and putting pressure on the opposing team. Now, since you've all watched the How to Play video, seriously, you should go watch it or this video is going to be confusing. I'm going to be skipping over how to actually become a warrior and instead talk about some of the technical skills while you're in the air. The absolute most important piece of technical advice that I can give to any new player concerns the concept of sticking or scraping. Now, I'm fond of the term scraping, so I'm going to be using that for the rest of the video. As you know, warriors are most vulnerable from above, dying to other warriors or the queen when they get bopped on the head. You can avoid these deaths by flying with your head scraping along any ceiling on the map, preventing other players from killing you from above. This does take a bit of physical prowess, however, and just a second, I need to press the nerd alert button real quick. In order for warriors to maintain the state of scraping along the ceiling, there's a taps per second requirement that you have to meet to avoid bouncing along the ceiling. Typically, 9 taps per second is going to be enough for you to not falter. However, if you really want to up your game to the next level, you should shoot for 12 taps per second. For context, this is what 9 taps per second sounds like. And this is what 12 taps per second sounds like. There is one minor thing to note for warriors that are up on the ceiling. When faced against a queen, you should be opting out of this scuffle, since she has priority when going up against a scraping warrior. Her sword is slightly higher in this instance, so she'll win any matchup on the ceiling that involves another warrior trying to take her out. Another technical skill to note is the fact that warriors are always faster in the air. Because of this, walking along the ground should be avoided at nearly all times. For the nerds out there, if you want to learn more about this stuff, there is an excellent YouTube series called Killer Queen Tech by a player named Arantis. I've linked it below, and he goes really in depth in the concept of scraping and other Killer Queen tech. You should definitely check it out. All right. We're going to take a step back and talk about the bigger picture of Killer Queen and talk about how warriors can affect the tide of a battle. There are 2 main macro-level concepts that warriors should be aware of. The first is the composition of your team, this being which of your players are drones and which of them are warriors. And the second one is zoning, the concept of a fleet of winged players attacking certain areas or defending other areas based on who's winning or losing. In this video, we're only going to talk about composition since zoning can become quite the advanced topic, and it deserves a specific video in and of itself. There are a couple of rules of thumb for zoning, though, that you should probably be aware about. The first one is to always be aware of anyone that's above you at any given time. The second one is, if you're ahead, to try to be in an area of the map where you're advancing your objective, and if you're behind, try to be in an area of the map where you're defending the opposing team's objective. All right, regarding composition. So this won't matter too much if you're playing casually, as you should play whichever role you feel most comfortable with, and whichever role you have the most fun with. This is a silly B game after all. But if you're going into a game with a plan, it can be helpful for each player to take on a certain role, and to try to stick to that role throughout the majority of the game. Typically, teams with their eye on winning with berries will have 2 warriors and 2 drones. And if you're going for the snail, teams will switch to 3 warriors and 1 drone. If you are playing a game where you'll be sticking to the warrior role, it's helpful for the queen to know when you've died. The best way to do this is to tell her, say, "I'm down." She'll be able to use this information to change one of the gates to your color and guard that gate to make sure you can gain your wings back. Be sure to inform her that you've successfully become a warrior again by saying, "I'm up," so that she can focus her efforts elsewhere. And if you're the last warrior on your team, it's crucial that you stay alive to help your teammates get up as warriors as well. It's helpful to note that the queen can't be the only military might on the team at any given time. Relying too heavily on her to defend you will put her in a bad spot, and she may die as a result, which is the last thing that you want. These are just a few tips for how you can understand how to become a better warrior, and we've only just covered the surface. If you've got any tips or tricks that you want to share, leave a comment below and we'll try to add it to our next video. Additionally, make sure to subscribe for more Killer Queen content every week. Thanks a ton for tuning in to Killer Queen Flight School, and I'll see you on the cabs.